Hey, welcome back. This is our podcast again. What's the EFFL original podcast right here for you? Got Todd Bailey.
What's up, Pablo? How you doing?
Oh, not much. Just hanging out, having a good day.
Yeah,
over
this
here.
is awesome. This is number 17. And we're trying our second take 2, on doing a video podcast here. So let's try this again.
Exactly.
Anyways, this is week 17 of the Extreme FFL official podcast, brought to you by myself, Todd Bailey, and my son, Paul Bailey. I call him Pablo. So again, good to see you, Pablo. All right. Hey, as always, we have sponsors we want to thank, and that is 123go.io as well as tabbyentertainment.com. So
Absolutely.
Check them out. Thank you very much.
And make sure you also like us and follow us on whatever your listening platform is as well. We always appreciate that.
Yes, and all of our little listeners out there. Listeners is a tough word for me. All those listeners out there, we want to thank you so far for making our podcast grow. So that's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
As always, we have a few things going on today. And one of the hot topics right now in the fantasy football world are ADPs. And we'll get into that a little bit. Also talk about some of the NFL stars who are not on teams yet. After all that, we're going to tell you how to become a sponsor for upcoming leagues. And then we'll say peace. Anyways, we're back in a little bit. Hang on 1 second.
All right, and we are back here with episode 17. I'll let Dad take over.
There we go. So again, I talk about this item called ADPs, and ADPs is the average draft position. I know, Paul, we're kind of early on in July, but there have been some best ball leagues drafted, even a couple of fantasy football standard traditional leagues already drafted, and then a lot of mock drafts happening on some of the quote unquote expert sites.
Oh yeah.
So all these the data that's been put in by all of these drafts have generated an ADP, and again, average draft position. So you can kind of see where a certain player or a certain defense is being chosen currently as of right now. And this is a fluid changing thing. So as we get closer to the season and there's more drafts out there, these numbers might change. But as of right now, we're on July 9th. So we can kind of get an idea of what we're at. So, which is kind of neat, I guess, is one of the things. And this is kind of like the slowing down dead time of football. We're in the training camps starting pretty soon. Not a lot of news coming out from there yet, but we're in the fantasy football world, so it is a year-long thing. But just right now, we're a little bit of a dip. But I tell you, by August 1st, we're going to be running full speed, so that's kind of neat.
But when it comes to the draft leagues, even traditional draft leagues, that's where ADP starts to really bare its teeth and start to have a lot of relevance and stuff. So I think it'll be good going over that a little bit today for everybody. And then we're also going to be comparing that to our exchange or extreme exchange prices as well. So that'll kind of help relate the two.
Right. Now, everybody has their favorite players, their favorite teams. So they may put a little more value or less value on a certain team or a certain player. That happens. So that will affect ADPs overall. But what we have found so far, and it's kind of like not a secret, the number one ADP player is Christian McCaffrey.
Mr. Christian McCaffrey.
We knew that going all along. But there are some decisions and some debates on who's going to be, probably 2 through 6, and whether it's going to be Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs. A lot of names get tossed out in that. So we will address those a little bit later on in the show. But let's kind of talk about the ADP and how it affects the EFFL and then the Extreme Exchange.
Yeah.
So in the EFFL, since we don't actually have drafts, ADPs really don't matter. Oops, get the microphone. ADPs really don't matter. And so that's okay. So the ADP now is just as a reference. But in the EFFL leagues, you can play any player you want once per 9 weeks in 2 9-week halves. So we're not having a draft. So McCaffrey's and the Breece Halls and all those players will be used twice throughout the season by every team, unless they get hurt. but there really isn't any ADP for the EFFL.
Hmm.
So, but what we did do, and you mentioned it here, is I kind of did some comparison with the Extreme Exchange
Yeah,
because
because
in our exchange we're buying players, and we mentioned this every episode. We talk about what the exchange is, where you are your general manager. You have the general manager hat, and you get to buy and sell players, and make not trades, but you can go in and out of the stock market type of an atmosphere with players and teams.
yeah.
So I think I'm pretty good at math, and I kind of got together. I got some statistics and some more formulas, and I messed around with a little bit, and I think I have a way to maybe find some bargains on the Extreme Exchange based on what the experts are saying for the current ADP values. Does that make
Nice.
sense?
Oh yeah, definitely makes sense because I think that a lot of what EFFL and Extreme Exchange are both going to be is that you can really apply any knowledge that you have for the game. And so your ADP options, and if you're watching the ADP like rankings closely, you're going to be able to see people who would be higher up on the ranking than they might be when it comes to their value in Extreme Exchange if you compare the two, right? So
Yeah.
it's all about utilizing your information properly. And I think you could do that in EFFL or Extreme Exchange 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. So what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about some of these players. Now we can as rattled off 6 or 7 names of players who are going to be probably first round picks in almost every traditional league out there. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure when I do mine, traditional leagues, I'll pick one of them also. That's just kind of the way it is. But they may not be the best value when it comes to the exchange. So what I did is I touched some numbers, and this is what we have. Now, according to the Fantasy Football Pros, which again I consider one of the leading experts in having values, the top 7 ADPs. I got 7 because there's a four-way tie
Right.
for third, fourth, fifth, or fifth, sixth, seventh, whatever it is. The
Yeah,
top
four through
four
eight
of top,
or fourth seven.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there you go. The top 7 are Christian McCaffrey, C.D. Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Bijan Robinson, Brees Hall, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Those are the 7.
Mm-hmm.
So again, anybody who knows football could probably rattle off several of those names, and even there's a few more you probably could add in the top 10. Jameer Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown,
Represent right here.
those are the names. Derrick Henry. So those are the names that we all know, right?
Was that
So
number in there? Let's see it. There we go. Yeah, Amon
so
Ra St. Brown.
again, what? Oh yeah, good job. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, look at that. Represent.
See, I'm not representing. I should represent. I do have I do have our mug though.
Yeah, that's something. Represent.
See, I have our mug.
Here, we'll drop a little
And
booyah. Here we go.
these will be available also on the site.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh yeah,
so
and by
let's
the way,
quickly.
when it comes to the ones that were tied, that was Jamar Chase, Brees Hall, Justin Jefferson, and Bijan Robinson are tied for fourth through seventh here,
Yes,
all
yeah,
averaging the fifth, halfway through the fifth round picks,
yeah, yep.
5.5.
So that's kind of again we understand that, and then just kind of going one step further, the top defense is the Baltimore Ravens, and just so you know, their ADP is 170th.
Wow.
So the best defense, according to Fantasy Football Pros, is the 170th best pick. That's
Interesting.
pretty far down. Yeah, it's pretty far down in a 10-person league or 10-team league. That's the 17th pick,
Yeah, well, people are probably
uh,
thinking players first.
17th round. Yeah, it is. It's true. Now I was kind of shocked by this. The top quarterback so far this year is not Mahomes. It's not Lamar Jackson. It's not Jordan Love. It's not Tua Tagovailoa. It's Josh Allen. Josh Allen is currently the 17 and a half, 17.5 ADP.
Wow.
So again, that's saying in a 10-team league, he's at the end, towards the end of the second round before you start picking a quarterback. And currently, Josh Allen is being the number 1 quarterback taken.
Interesting.
I don't see that. I don't see that. I mean, I know the guy's a great ball player. He just lost some players. He lost Stephon Diggs on the running as a receiver. I know he does have the rookie Keon Coleman, who's going to be a stud. And there's a guy out there for Buffalo named Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel is one of those Buckeye guys. Matter of fact, Curtis Samuel is the one that destroyed Michigan at one of the almost overtime games in at Ohio State Stadium, and it was whatever. But anyways, Curtis Samuel is one of those shifty little receivers who apparently is going to be uh, looking at some big days coming up with Josh Allen. And then I do
Yeah.
have Dalton Kincaid, who is a tight end. And we'll mention Dalton's name a little bit later on also, because he is one of the top bargain tight ends out there. But Josh Allen is the number one quarterback taken overall right now, ADP of 17.5. Top running back, of course, is McCaffrey. He's number one. We won't go into him any more than we already have. But number two receiver, Paul, we have Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, or Justin Jefferson.
Hmm.
Who do you think?
I mean, honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards the Tyreek Hill, but you know, I do like CD Lamb for it also. Like I can't complain with that to be 100%.
Yeah, it's again those three. You could argue that Jefferson having either McCarthy as a rookie quarterback or Sam Darnold might bring him down a little bit because he
Hmm.
had Kirk Cousins last year. So I could possibly see Jefferson sliding. But again, sliding is kind of relative because he's still a phenomenal player.
Right,
But
and it's
currently,
yeah.
currently, CeeDee Lamb is ADP number two overall and the number one receiver.
Yeah, which I, especially being on the Cowboys this year, I think that I think it's gonna track. So I can't argue with that too much. I do think that Tyreek Hill, I don't know, maybe I just like it. Maybe I'm just leaning that way. But I could see him being better in my eyes.
Yeah, it's a close one. Now, I'm hearing, I'm not sure if it's legit or whatever, but there are some rumblings in Dallas about CeeDee Lamb going to hold out a little bit because he wants another contract extension.
Really?
So I'm not sure if that's true or whatever, but
Oh, that's
I
interesting.
always hate that. I always, you sign a contract to play for X number of years. Go ahead and do that. Don't hold out. Just do your job, get your contract fulfilled,
Hmm.
then move on. But I understand in this world of NFL, when players don't play very many leagues or many years, they want to have their future taken care of. So they want to
Right.
have that money, and I can't blame them. I mean, if you were playing football, Paul, you want your money also, and if you feel that based on other players' recent contracts and you're being underpaid, I could see people wanting to get a few more dollars, but to hold out on a training camp, that just hurts a lot of people on your team. Yeah, the team needs you there.
Yeah.
So that's just my little soapbox.
You know, when it comes to like holding out, I could see him holding out on training camp because of the fact that he is trying to save himself for that. Like, just like, prep himself on his own or whatever. Like, it doesn't surprise me too much. But this is going to be, a top competitor in the NFL. Like, as soon as they get in the game, they're not going to be able to stop themselves from trying their hardest and trying to help their team win. I don't see CD Lamb in game doing any less than the best he can, if that
Right,
makes sense. And I
right.
think that like maybe out of season, and I think it's like a mentality thing, is that like this is the mentality of a competitor. And like you said, when he's not in the sport that he competes in, he's going to think about his future and he's going to try to secure that. But then when he's in the moment on the field with all the fans around him under the lights, like he's against a team, 11 other massive individuals who are trying to stop him, and he competes,
Yeah,
he knows he can beat them, so he's going to try his hardest. I don't think that like a competitor at that skill is going to be like intentionally downplaying themselves.
right. I agree. I totally agree. And he does have a really good situation being there in Dallas with Dak Prescott and himself out there, and
Right.
and there's not really a strong running back in the Dallas backfield. So I think it's going to force Dallas to throw the ball more often. And Dak and has done fantastic during the regular season. His history of being in the playoffs failures are well documented, but at least as far as regular season goes, Dak is top.
Yeah.
So having a top quarterback and a strong receiver like CeeDee Lamb is a pretty tough pretty tough stack, and they call it stacking. If you have a quarterback and a receiver on the same team, that's called a stack.
Right.
So arguably, the Cowboys have the best stack out there in that. Tua and Tyreek out in Miami. Uh, Tyreek is going to be neck and neck with CeeDee Lamb.
I think if
Uh,
Tyreek gets some like good runaway catches, because he's got a lot more, I think, big plays under his belt. And when I was looking up, I can actually appreciate Fantasy Pros notes right here by Andrew Erickson here, but he was talking to that CD Lamb has um, expected like regression right here because of the Cowboys' use in the red zone and how they aren't going to be expecting to use or like lean on him the same way that they would when he's not in the
oh,
red zone. And so I think that like Tyreek Hill being the big playmaker player that he is, if he gets the opportunities and he shows out, like I could easily see him surpassing CD Lamb this year for sure
okay,
as wide
I
receiver
can see
one.
that too. I can
But
see that.
it might
And
go the other way, but I
and
would put my money on it.
Miami is a fun team to watch offensively because they have all the speed in the world.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's pretty awesome. Although there's a cool little video. Tyreek has his own camp. I'm not sure if it's in South Florida or where it's at, but
Well, that's
he
cool.
was he was one on one with a female flag football player, and if you watch the video, Tyreek got burned. The lady did a couple step fake slant, and Tyreek bit on the slant, and then she kind of did a straight up go route from there and caught it in the end zone, and that was pretty impressive. So
Well, that's
I
why
don't
he's
know
not
who
a
she was,
cornerback.
but that's a pretty impressive play.
That's why he's
But
not a
also
cornerback. He
Tyreek,
just does the catching.
that's why that's why he's on offense, right? Not on
Right, right.
defense. All right, I keep moving on here. So,
Yeah.
and the top tight end based on the ADP is our very own Sam Laporta of the Detroit Lions, and he is listed as the 23rd overall pick, the number one tight end.
Hmm.
So, all the Travis Kelce's out there and the Mark Andrews. No, Sam Laporta for our little Detroit Lions is the number one tight end based on the current ADP drafting.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
feel
kind of
like,
cool.
yeah, I feel like that's some smart drafting for those people who are going for him, because obviously there's might be more flashy people like you said, um, Travis Kelsey or something like that, or might be a little bit more notable. But I think that when it
Right.
comes to the consistency that you can expect from it, this is going to be a reliable player,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's
All
what you
right.
want in a tight
So,
end too.
yeah. So we have ADP, and then we have our Extreme Exchange prices, which, by the way, are listed on our extremeFFL.com website. So if you go to the
Hmm.
website, extremeFFL.com, and go to the Extreme Exchange
Where is it? It's up there.
area,
There you go.
where am I pointing to? Up there,
Yep.
roughly? Okay, somewhere up there. Uh, all of these extreme exchange values and prices are listed so you can see what I'm talking about directly.
Hmm.
Now, so we have the ADP and we have our exchange prices. So I thought, okay, let's kind of take the numbers and do a little bit of mixing here and see what I can come up with as far as what makes sense to figure out some kind of a bargains.
Hmm.
So what I did is I did all that, and I'm not going to bore everybody with numbers. I'm just going to go ahead and give it the results. But on the exchange, we have a $1,000 portfolio that you can spend. And just so you know, I'm going to go through the top three players slash teams of the defense, quarterback, running backs, tight ends, and receivers. In the exchange, you do have the ability to purchase an offensive team. And since I don't know of any traditional or standard leagues that have an offensive team on there, no one's been drafted yet. So there
Right.
isn't really an ADP for offense. So that being said, if you take the top three of my my um, bargain people here for these five positions, you'll spend $557.90 of your $1,000, still
Okay.
giving you $443 almost to spend with other players who you might have a heart pick for
Mm-hmm.
or
Oh,
teams for offense.
a heart
Okay.
pick. I love
So a heart pick. Yeah. I have a lot of heart picks.
that.
So so let's kind of go through this, and I'll try and break it down a little bit. I won't go through all the math as much, but I will mention a few things out there.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, the number one team based on the uh, ADP versus our exchange prices are the New York Jets. The New York Jets are ranked fourth by the ADP rankings,
Okay.
and they're ranked 21st as far as the exchange pricing.
Oh, okay.
So you can kind of get an idea. So here's a fourth ranked team based on ADP, and they're a 21st ranked team based on our prices.
Right. And you know what?
So that's kind of,
Now that we're doing
go
these
ahead.
comparisons, I want to, I guess, highlight the fact that when we're comparing ADP to the extreme exchange prices, what we're highlighting is how the masses are choosing those players and essentially the opinion that those masses have versus the value that we have on those players. So then it allows you to
Yes,
say, like, do I want to agree with the masses? Do I recognize that? Is that something that I personally agree with? And then you can apply it here. So like we're really talking about the opinion of all these people. Obviously ADP is not like a set in stone um,
correct.
thing. Like it's all fluid. It's just based on the way that these drafts have gone throughout this little portion of time.
Right. So again, I'm showing this is kind of how it goes through and all of these positions and players and teams or whatever that I've done. I'm looking at the ADP ranking versus our exchange the price ranking. So the New York Jets are $87.82. Okay, so that's going to be a quote unquote bargain for them.
Oh yeah.
Now, what I found in these, again, having five positions and three teams, so 15 positions, we're looking for the bargain basement or the basement bargains people. So
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to get the most bang for the buck. And like you said, Paul, the ADP is just a number that has been calculated based on what the masses have done to this point and then going further.
Right.
But so they may not be the names, the quote unquote names that you are thinking about when it comes to a fantasy football league. But from I'm going to buy them, pretty much buy them low, and hopefully they do something and then sell them at a higher point. These are the names that pop up.
Right.
Okay,
Oh,
so
I'd also want
New
to
York
clarify
Jets.
when we're talking about the masses, we are also referring to expert masses, not just amateurs.
Yeah, true. That's very true. All right, and I'm guessing if you are a fantasy football league owner and you've already drafted at this point in July, you probably know what you're doing. You're probably not just a rookie at this point jumping into a fantasy football league and drafting in July. That's not normally what happens. So people who are even drafting are quote unquote experts and all that. So
Right.
okay, so the New York Jets $87. The next two are the Washington Commanders and the Carolina Panthers. Both of them are coming in at $20. Now the Panthers and the Washington Commanders, they're both ranked 31st in our exchange because they're at $20. And
Right.
that's the lowest, it's the lowest amount that you can have preseason. Again, the lowest amount that you have during the season is $10. So it can't go below 10 and the initial buying price is not below 20.
Mm-hmm.
So the Commanders are the 28th ranked team based on ADP, and the Carolina Panthers are 32nd ADP, but they're both coming in at the 31st price range for the exchange, so $20. So what people are saying is that you're not going to get a lot from them. The Jets being $87 and ranked fourth, there's going to be probably a lot of income on the Jet side. The Commanders and the Panthers are not a very good team, but you're buying them so cheap that the upside is better.
Right. Right.
And to put that into perspective, the Arizona Cardinals are the 30th ranked team at $24. So that $4 little change there is taking them from the third to the fourth spot. So the top three teams are the Jets, Commanders, and Panthers.
Interesting. Yeah. I
Okay,
think those are good.
so now, I'm going to ask you to play the sound bite that we haven't created yet, but we're going to create one at some point for this guy named Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
So, moving on to the quarterbacks, we all know Aaron Rodgers is going to be phenomenal at this point,
Right.
and
Especially for the extreme exchange. Right.
right, exactly. When I did all the calculations, I won't go into boring everybody about the math. There is nobody, and there's not one single team close to what Aaron Rodgers has. So,
Mm-hmm.
that being said, Aaron Rodgers, his ADP right now is at 20. His exchange price is low as possible. He's at $20, which is the 41st list. So you're getting a top 20 quarterback for $20. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
again where they're saying that's one of the best. So Aaron Rodgers is a great steal at $20, and that one we kind of knew.
Right.
The next player I was kind of shocked by. I guess I'm gonna say shocked because I didn't think that the value would be there with him. But yeah, if I'm going to stand by my stats, stand by your stats. Okay, sorry. Here I am. I'm not going to be singing on this podcast.
No, no, we'll
um,
save that.
but if I'm going to stand by my stats, I have to go by what the stats come up with. And Jalen Hurts for the
Oh.
Philadelphia Eagles, he is currently, as of right now, the second quarterback based on ADP.
Hmm.
Just so you know, Jalen Hurts' ADP ranking is the 27.5. So 27th, roughly, pick in the draft so far, Jalen
Right.
Hurts. His price is $121.48. So based
Okay.
on the 121.48 and his current ADP of being second quarterback, there is some bargains and some money to be made on Jalen Hurts. So
Yeah.
121 for Jalen Hurts, and he has a pretty good team now. They added a strong running back in Saquon Barkley, so that's pretty awesome. And he still has Devontae Smith and AJ Brown out there, so I have no problem with Jalen Hurts. Plus,
Yeah.
he has this thing called the tush push. With the tush push,
Right.
the tush push is a play whether you like it or you hate it. It's just it's a newfangled version of the quarterback sneak,
Right.
where everybody just plows in the back of them and just pushes them forward, and it's hugely successful.
Mm-hmm.
And the NFL is teased about not allowing it, but at this point, they are allowing it. So that's going to get you some touchdowns. So those 1 yard touchdown runs for Jalen Hurts are going to be pretty nice. So Jalen
Right.
Hurts is the second best bargain at $121.48. The third quarterback is another one that we kind of thought of is Bryce Young. Bryce Young comes in at the 26th highest ranked quarterback. So there's 32 teams, so you can see where he's ranked. But it has a $20 value.
Okay.
So they're saying that he's going to get better because he's a second year sophomore season kind of thing going on. So he's going to do better there. And the Panthers did get him another receiver in Deontay Johnson. So I'm seeing the possibility for Bryce Young to get above $20. I don't think you should expect to be $100. Again, we talked about the average player in exchange, at least the value wise, is around $100. I
Mm-hmm.
can't see Bryce Young being average this year. If it is, it's going to be an $80 increase for me. But
Right.
somewhere in the $40-$50 range is where I probably see Bryce Young ending up at the end of the season. So there's $20 or $30 you might gain from him. So
Yeah. I think
so
that's good.
so so right now, Paul, we spent $87 on the Jets, 121 on Jalen Hurts, and then we got the Commanders, Panthers, Aaron Rodgers, and Bryce Young, all for $20.
Right.
All right, all right. Running backs. Now McCaffrey, who is the ADP one, has been marked down here at 200. Not marked down. This is listed at $207.90. So he's actually one of the lower values as far as that goes.
Hmm.
But Zamir White, at Zamir White, a running back for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm not sure how many uh, drafts, unless you're in a super flex running back league, as you might use, Paul, where you need multiple running backs in your bench. I'm not sure how many Zamir Whites are going to be drafted. He's in there as
Right.
the running back 24 because he is coming. There isn't anybody else for Las Vegas. Last year they had Josh Jacobs, who is now in Green Bay. So Zamir White is a running back that they're saying is a lot of value. He's a 24 ranked running back, excuse me, and his extreme exchange value is in the 75th uh, level, whatever
Right.
ranking for a total of $38.61. So
Interesting.
you're going to get a starting running back for a team in Las Vegas for $38.61.
And Zamir White is actually also tied with the running backs James Conner and David Montgomery as well, for technically the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th position. So you can move Zamir up a little bit.
Yeah. So I again, I would never have thought that. So Zamir White. Now I got to tell you, I don't know much about Tank Bigsby.
Right.
Um, I just he's playing for Jacksonville, and Jacksonville has Travis Etienne as the primary running back.
Hmm.
So I guess unless Travis has an injury or something, I can't see Bigsby getting a huge uptick here.
Right.
He is a he is a 68th ranked ADP wise for the running backs at a $20 value in the exchange.
Mm.
So again, you're kind of seeing a theme here where we're trying to keep on the lower end of the cost to get the most possible return.
Right.
And so here is Tank Bigsby, running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars at $20. I can pull up some cool Tank Bigsby stats for me, Paul.
Shoot, I was just looking at his stuff. Give me just one second. Let me see what we got for the fantasy impact. He'd been talked
Uh,
up earlier in camp as a player who could take on bigger role this season, but it didn't appear that he had himself any favors early in camp. He still has training camp and preseason to prove himself, though, more. So we'll see. But with Travis Etienne being the workhorse in the Jaguars' backfield, we'll see if he starts to
yeah,
excel beyond that.
yeah. So,
That
but
was that.
again,
There
you're
you go. That's a little note.
good job, Paul. Good job, Pablo. And so, yeah, you're seeing there that's only $20 value, so you really can't expect a whole lot from there.
Hmm.
And then the last one, uh, Chase Brown. Now, he's for the Bengals, and I had a chance to watch him in person when he was playing for Illinois at Michigan Stadium. And the guy is fast.
Hmm.
He belongs on a Miami Dolphins team. He is a very fast running back. And the Bengals don't have Joe Mixon anymore. So I think Chase Brown, being his second year in the league, has a huge upside here.
Hmm.
The ADP wise, he is ranked 38th, and on the exchange, he is our 116th highest price or lowest price, however you want to say it, running back out there at $36.27.
Yeah, that'll go up for
Uh,
sure. That's definitely going to be a good pick.
I think it's going to be a huge pick. I see a lot of upticks. He actually is coming in at $2.40 less than Zamir White, and I put more
Right.
value in Chase Brown than I do in Zamir White.
I can see that.
So, so there are the three running backs. Now, just to let you know, They want this these not just trying to find the cheap people. The fourth running back is Bijan Robinson. So
Nice.
if you're looking for, again, we're going to have some money left over after we spend all of these players. Bijan Robinson, who's the third ranked ADP running back, is coming in $118.09.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah.
this these stats are telling us that Bijan Robinson is also going to be a steal. So keep him on your radar for sure.
You know what's interesting? When I think about like going for the low price players or the high price players, um, although my body and brain are telling me like go for the low price, like go for the 20, go for the 30, go for the 40, and people who are projected to maybe get up to like 80, get some good gain out of them. But at the same time, like if you're trying to look for like fast return, then it might be good to go for three games of a player like Bijan Robinson, and then you're gonna
Yeah.
go up probably like $20 and be able to sell that for a good amount of money. And I think that they'll have a faster rate of growth than these other players. So like it might be comparable there based on your intention of how long you want to hold your team or your progression that you want to have throughout the season.
Right, and that's a good point, Paul. That's not always mentioned here a lot. Is you can buy and sell as often as you want. So you could, like you said, if Bijan Robinson is playing on a Thursday game,
Mm-hmm.
you could buy him Thursday, use them for that game, sell them immediately, and buy someone else on Sunday, and then keep doing that if you want all week long.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe maybe if you see this wonderful opportunity that Bijan at $118 or is going to be at that point is playing against a really poor defense, maybe it's worth making a change and buying him and for a game or two and see how he does and make
Right.
a few dollars and sell him. Zip in, zip out. Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's move on to our tight ends. I mentioned Dalton Kincaid earlier with Josh Allen. I have a strong feeling that Dalton Kincaid is going to be Josh Allen's best friend coming up this season. I really do. I mean, Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman are going to be fine,
Right.
but I think Dalton Kincaid, he's already supplanted himself as a strong tight end candidate, and now that Stephon Diggs is not there, I think only makes him that much better.
Yeah.
So Dalton Kincaid is the fifth ranked tight end, and he's the 54 and a half tight end or ranking price wise for the EE
Right.
exchange at $61.95.
Wow.
So Dalton Kincaid at $61.95 to me has a ton of upside.
Yeah. This is a fifth overall tight end, 53rd, so it's like fifth round pick. But like I said, fifth round tight end or fifth tight end chosen. I could easily see this being maybe like a 120 value by the end of the season.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to be, in my eyes, a nice pickup there. So
Mm-hmm.
Dalton Kincaid is at $61.95.
Oh yeah.
The next two, again, I would not expect a whole lot from them, but they are a $20 value, and that's Greg Dulcich,
Well, you don't want to swear
Dul-
over here.
Dulcich. Sorry, Greg. Whatever. He's a tight end for the Baltimore or the Denver Broncos.
Right.
I think it's Dulcich. So Greg Dulcich.
That sounds right.
Okay,
We'll just
you
move
say his
past
name.
it. Yeah, no, a Dulcich? Yeah.
There you go. $20. They have a rookie quarterback in Denver now at Bo Nix. I can see $20 as a flyer. I can only lose $10 max on the guy, even if he doesn't do anything all season.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't expect much. But he is ranked as the 32nd uh, top tight end through ADP wise.
Hmm.
So he's out there.
Yeah.
And then Daniel Bellinger for the New York Giants. I'd almost like to put an asterisk on here, not to pick anybody on the Giants offense. Um, but for but for $20, I think it's probably maybe worth it here.
Right.
Again, don't expect a whole lot from them, but for $20, it might just be opportunity there.
Hmm.
So, and then just going down a few more steps, Trey McBride, who's the third ADP ranked tight end, is coming in at the sixth best option here, bargain wise, at
Okay.
$91.54. So again, we're not just picking the cheap guys. Actually, you can pick guys who are pretty high ranked also. But Trey McBride is also one that you might want to consider for $91 and change.
Right. Something that you
So
can
we've
keep your
covered.
eyes on
Yeah, go
is
ahead.
like, if you see a player that was not starting last season but is going to be starting this season, those players are, especially if you think that they're going to do good and that they deserve their position and that it wasn't just because somebody was moved above them, kind of thing.
Yeah,
If you think that that's a good pick, then they are going to be a good value in the Extreme Exchange due to their previous season stats that are based off of being the season stats of a second string compared then to the new season where you can get him at that price and then let him
it's
play the whole
huge.
thing at the first string. So yeah,
That's
if
huge.
you know a player that's going to be starting this year that you had high expectations for, like a heart pick or something, like you can get good value, or even like third to second string, like that branch will also net you a value gain also. So
Yeah. Um, and just it's like Zamir White. He
hmm,
was backup to Josh Jacobs. Now he's a man out there
exactly.
running back in Las Vegas. So opportunity to get him pretty cheap this year. Um, and one of my, I can't call him a huge friend, but he played football on my team several years ago. Chris Evans, running back for the Bengals, and he's not listed anywhere on here. So anybody
Hmm.
who's not listed, like I mentioned before, anybody who's not on the Extreme Exchange list is automatically at a $20 value. I'm going to buy you, Chris, just for $20. I don't care what you do. $20. I'm going to invest $20 in you, Chris. You got that.
There you go.
$20 of fake money. That's it. That's fantastic.
That's love right there.
That is love. Good job, Chris. All right, let's move on to our last position. It's going to be the receivers.
Hmm.
These three, I'm going to stand by my stats, but I think there's something maybe a little bit wrong with here. Potentially, I see some opportunity here.
Hmm.
The three receivers are Trayvon Burks from Tennessee, Andre Iosivas,
Los Sivas.
sure, sure, and then Marquez Valdez Scantling. So Trayvon Burks is $27 and change. Andre Iosivas is $21, and Marquez Valdez Scantling is $23.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to expect a whole lot, although they do have them listed. Traylon Burke is 12th in ADP for receivers. Andre Iosivas is 17, and Marquez Valdez Scantling is 16. If they perform at those levels, there'll be a huge upside on these 20 and change dollars that these three have. Huge upsides.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those are all real cheap picks, so you could totally get some huge growth out of those. It's interesting that those are the people um, that I guess are being rallied around by these experts within the draft leagues. I can totally see them netting good stuff. I feel like those were picks where obviously, this is towards the end of the draft for you, or at least like towards the end of your main game plan. And so you're looking for people who are going to be safe bets, but also like could potentially get you a big reward, so low risk, high reward. And I think that that'll translate really well into the extreme exchange. There's only one way to find out, but I think that those are all going to be good picks.
Yeah, I think they all will too. Um, and just to get down a little bit, because some of the bigger names, the biggest name out there is Garrett Wilson, and he's not too far down the list from there.
Hmm.
Garrett Wilson is coming in at a kind of relative bargain at $76.62. So Garrett is going to be the man with hopefully a healthy Aaron Rodgers. So for $76, I'm going to buy Garrett Wilson also at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, especially if you're gonna have Aaron Rodgers get a little stack going for you.
Yeah. Okay. So if I take just the top three players that I mentioned to you, players and teams that we just went through here in detail,
Hmm.
we spent $557.90. So that gives me a lot of room to buy a lot more players who I may have the heart pick and just want to buy them.
Right.
So
And that
again,
also gives you 400. So it's 450, right? Is essentially the amount of
yeah,
money that we're looking at here, left over in your profile or portfolio, and that can be
yep,
used on for $100 players, and then like a $50 player, you could get an extra wide receiver, tight end, running back, and quarterback all at the $100 value that you want to like lean on, something like
sure,
that. You can get one or two expensive people. You can just like split it pretty evenly, and I think that what people would learn is that you have a lot of um, expressibility, within the choices that you
yeah.
want to be able to go for.
And again, we haven't talked about the offensive teams yet because that's not really an ADP kind of thing. But remember that we do have the ability to buy an offensive team if you want.
Right.
And one of the ones that kind of did some quick math on the side here was the LA Chargers at $55.94. I'm not because of Jim Harbaugh, more because of Justin Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Justin Herbert fan, and I think as a quarterback, $55.94 is going to be pretty, I think, pretty cheap. Yeah, they lost some receivers, but this guy Lad McConkey, out of Georgia,
Right.
he's a real deal. So again, when you look at the exchange prices on our extremeFFL.com website, you can see that there's some value to be made even on the offensive side.
Oh yeah.
So there we go. $557 of our $1,000 is spent just by buying the 15 bargain basement players slash teams that we covered just now.
I like that. I think that there's a lot of really good
In
options for people
my
to go
cool
for here.
mug.
We'll make
Yeah.
sure that we get these in some clips too, so that we can throw it out there for everybody, because I know listening to stats and numbers and player names and stuff is kind of harder over a big long podcast, but it's real good and easy over clips. So we'll help that out for you guys.
Ah, I have a feeling you're going to have your sister make a clip here, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I'll do the audio. It's a little team effort. It's all about the.
It's all about teamwork. All right, so let's talk about some of the players who, not too long ago, even up until last season, were still active and playing well, who are currently looking for a team. Again, it was July 9th. Training camps are beginning within a week at a lot of these teams.
Hmm.
And you got some guys out there with some pretty big names who are not playing yet. Again, I don't know their salary situation. I didn't dig that deep into it. I don't know if they've been contacted and just playing hardball or what exactly the status is. But there are some players that if you would have told me 2, 3 years ago would be available for a team to pick up. And I imagine as of July 9th, they're probably going to be more on the cheaper side,
Hmm.
poor English there, less side of the salary. So I would think, why not take a shot with them? But there are some names here. Justin Simmons is a safety for the Denver Broncos. I believe he had 3 interceptions last year, uh, two, I think, forced fumbles, and 8 passes defensed, and 55 tackles.
Okay.
Again, those aren't going to be all pro numbers,
Hmm.
but they're not shabby for a linebacker, or I'm so sorry, for a safety.
Right. Right.
So, and the guy hits. He's a hitter. So Justin Simmons, I'm kind of shocked he's still available. The other safety out there is Jamal Adams. Now, Jamal Adams has been bounced around a little bit between Seattle and New York Jets, but everywhere he goes, he performs. Now, I heard that there's possibility of him going to Baltimore. That may happen, which I think he'll fit in very well to Baltimore defense. Again, he's getting up there in age. I think he's like 31, I think, years old. Uh, but still, I think he still has some gas in the engine and opportunity to play somewhere, even the backup. So, but what I think happens with a lot of these players is when they get into training camp, somebody's going to get hurt somewhere, and they're going to need somebody, and then they
That's
go
fair.
ahead and find out that Jamal Adams is still available. We need a safety. Go ahead and get Jamal Adams.
Right.
So they're probably going to hold out for that. That always happens. someone always gets hurt in training camps
Hmm.
or preseason. So, um, cornerback wise, Stephon Gilmore is the odd man out in Dallas. Uh, they have Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland over in Dallas. So Stephon Gilmore is no longer a starting cornerback, but
Hmm.
that does not mean he doesn't have starting quarterback skills. So Stephon Gilmore is available. And then not too many years ago, I think it was 2021, 2022, Xavier Howard was the defensive player of the year for Miami, and he's still available. Uh, I mean,
Big
I
picks
don't
there.
know. If I had, if I was actually a true general manager, I'm going to get a hold of these guys and at least bring them in to talk to them. And again, maybe some
Hmm.
teams have, but as of right now, these players are not on teams. We covered this guy before, Michael Thomas, who
Right.
plays for New Orleans. He was a Ohio State Buckeye also, and the guy was just phenomenal playing with Drew Brees a few years ago. And yeah, he's been hurt. He hasn't played a full season in a while, so I'm sure that's probably his biggest bugaboo right now. Is that that's a word, bugaboo.
Bugaboo.
Um, yeah, but Michael Thomas and Hunter Renfro. Hunter Renfro is that uh, little slot receiver that Tom Brady loved, kind of thing, back in New England days. Um, I don't think Hunter's going to take you deep. He's not going to, get you that 80-yard, deep pass,
Hmm.
but he'll get you those 5, 10, 15 yards. And he's got great hands, awesome hands. It's just, I don't know, but he's available. So Michael Thomas and Hunter Renfro are the two receivers that I feel should be on a team pretty soon, and they
Right.
actually have value and prices on the league. So that's a thing.
That's
And
true.
then
Depending on what
uh,
team those might go to, they might be, better or worse value comparisons. Good to keep an
yeah,
eye on.
and I think even just having another veteran and a wide receiver room.
Hmm.
Again, I don't know these people at all personally. I don't know the personalities. I don't know anything about them. So they all could be jerks for all I know. And for all I know, they've been talking to coaches and teams and just not actually making it work. But
Right.
anyways, that's kind of my 2 cents there. And then recently, Shaquille Leonard, D lineman for the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know what happened to him. No idea. I don't know why he's not on a team. I wish somebody would pick him up because he was legit. So he is a pretty good stud. So Shaq Leonard for the Colts. So there are some of the players, just a few
Right.
players out there who are NFL players who not too long ago played pretty well, and they're currently not on a team. And Michael Thomas, Hunter Renfro actually do have prices and values. Um, and this matter of fact, I think I saw Hunter Renfro as a receiver wasn't too far down from the top. Yeah, he is listed as the 34th top receiver.
Oh wow. Yeah.
It's not even on a team. uh, so, so ADP is having a 34. He's not even on a team.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, we'll see. Everyone should keep an eye on those names there. Justin Simmons, Stephon Gilmore, Xavier Howard, Michael Thomas, Hunter Renfro, Jamal Adams, Shaq Leonard, and Dalvin Cook also because
Yeah,
depending on what
Dalvin
teams those
Cook.
guys go
Yeah,
to, if they go to a good team, that could be a real good pickup.
yeah. I forgot about Dalvin Cook. Right, thanks, Paul.
Oh yeah.
Dalvin Cook. He hasn't done much the past couple of years, but is in Minnesota. He was also the stud. So um, I don't know. That's about it right there.
Yeah.
All right, hey, we're getting towards the end of our show here. I want to talk about coming on as being a sponsor for our sponsored leagues. Yeah, we talked about the leagues last week, and they're on the website. We do have a need for sponsors. If you want to be a sponsor for your a team, we'll have or league. We have your website, your logo, your URL, and we'll tie you into your social media and our social media. And it's only $250 and it's for 20 weeks. So $12 and change per week.
Oh
So
yeah.
if you're looking for becoming a sponsor, this is a pretty inexpensive way of doing a lot of eyeballs coming to you on the ExtremeFFL.com website.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Let us help you help us.
yeah. All right. And as always, we have the podcast promo code. If you go to extremeffl.com and to pre register, will save you 20%
There
off
we
of
go.
entry of one league. And with that being said, put in a promo code podcast 2024 to save the 20% when you get to the registration. And Paul, go ahead and put the music on.
Alrighty.
And as always, we want to thank our sponsors 123go.io and Tabby Entertainment for being a sponsor with us all 17 weeks so far.
And thank you as
Next week,
well for listening, and want to once again thank or
and
have you
watching,
like and follow.
watching,
Oh, and watching now officially on YouTube.
and
Hopefully,
watching.
hopefully we get a post.
Yeah,
there.
you can see now. I have to, shave. I guess I'm being on TV now. On
Right,
video
or
now.
shave that for you. I don't know.
Next week, we're talking about more of the July training camps and other NFL news. Don't forget, check us out on August 9, 10, 11 in Canton, Ohio at the Fantasy Football Expo at Booth 27. And Paul, as I always say, when life gives you a chance, make it happen. Peace out.